This place is called Mary's Well. We know that this was one of the spots in the ancient town of Nazareth where the local people gathered their water. There are many vintage photographs of people drawing water from this well in the late 19th century, just like they used to do it in the time of Jesus. I'm going to reveal to you a mystery about what happened during the Annunciation to Mary. It's a mystery that only reveals itself when you look at the geography of Nazareth. I believe that God uses inconvenience to steer you in the direction that He wants you to go. In order for Him to accomplish His goal for your life, you won't get this particular lesson from this story in the Bible. This mystery only reveals itself when you look at the geography of Nazareth. Now, how does the geography of this town teach us that the inconveniences of life are something that God uses to navigate us into the room where He wants us to be? Let's put the pieces together. Clue number 1. This was not the only water source available to the people of ancient Nazareth. If you go uphill to the north a short ways, you will come to the Church of St. Gabriel, which was built over another spring. Now, there's a very ancient book, we've talked about it before, called the Proto-Evangelium of James, written about 100 years after Jesus lived here in Nazareth. And that book states that the Annunciation to Mary occurred in 2 parts, in 2 different locations, and that the first location was the Church of St. Gabriel. Here is clue number 2. Just to the south of here, going downhill, there is an archaeological site at the Sisters of Nazareth convent. When we read the pilgrimage of a 7th century monk named Arculf, we get the impression that Arculf was told by the residents of Nazareth that Jesus grew up at the site of these ruins, just downhill from here to the south. Here is clue number 3. Just about as far down the hill as the convent, you have the traditional home of Mary, where she lived earlier in her life as a young teenage girl. Now, what does all this mean? It means that Mary had to walk uphill every time she wanted to get water. Now, underneath this well, where people nowadays throw their garbage, are Byzantine and possibly Roman ruins of the ancient city of Nazareth. In fact, Earth-penetrating radar has already revealed a number of subterranean structures all over this area. It's fairly obvious that this well was the most popular source of water in the city, since it was close to most of the homes in Nazareth. Mary probably used this well most often, since it was the closest to every place that she lived. Now, if that's the case, why does tradition tell us that Mary first heard the voice of the angel at a spring that was uphill from here and 150 meters farther from her home? On the day that she heard the voice of the angel, she had already walked a half a kilometer to get here. Why did she bypass this place and go even further uphill to get water? I believe that this fountain was crowded with people at the time, and this forced Mary to walk uphill to a smaller spring where she could be alone. Now, consider this. James Finn was the British consul in Jerusalem in 1853, and he and his company visited Nazareth and pitched their tents near this fountain. He writes, and I quote, "The water at this spring was very deficient this summer season, yielding only a petty trickling to the anxious inhabitants. All night long, the women were there with their jars, chattering, laughing, or scolding in competition for their turns." Close quote. Why would Mary pass up the larger well to walk 150 meters uphill to visit the lonely little trickle that is today under the Orthodox Church? I believe it's because God wanted to talk to her. He wanted to lure her to a place where she could listen to Him, instead of being caught up as a participant in the chatter of the townspeople. I believe that the congestion of people at this well forced Mary to reconsider her plan and to take an extra trip uphill, farther away, to a secluded spring where God would have her complete attention. When you are walking in Christ, and when you are living a righteous and a blessable life, you may wonder in that context why God is thwarting your plans and forcing you to choose a different path. a path more difficult, more exhausting. This is the greatest journey. And the greatest journey isn't great because it's easy. It's great because of who you're traveling with. The one who takes you to lonely places, apart from the distractions of the world, to receive a fresh revelation of himself.